Welcome back, guys. My name is Brandon. Do you guys want to learn how to repair the bent up fenders on your trailer? Well, I'm here to say so do I, and that's what we're going to be working on today. Stick around. For those of you that are new here, we picked this trailer up on Marketplace. It lived its entire life in Alabama and just recently came to Maine. So structurally, it's a very sound trailer. It's just been neglected over the years. I've done a lot of work to it. I have a playlist link up above, and we're going to continue on with this project this week. These fenders are mangled. You can see that somebody has bent them. They've cut into them with some sort of saw. And it gets worse as you go down through. You can see how these are mangled. We're going to do our best to try to reshape these. I'm not a body man, but I think we can do a good job. These fenders aren't cheap to replace, so if we can repair them, that is what I would prefer to do. And we're also going to add some diamond plate steps, which will add as stiffeners, and we're going to build them using our homemade press brake attachment that we just built using a revolutionary process that has never been seen before. That's been a very popular video on the internet, and I'll have a link if you want to check it out. This brace right here is actually bent inwards this way, so somebody's obviously backed up, caught the fender on something, and it actually bent this a little bit inwards here. So we're going to end up cutting this, pushing it back to strengthen it, re-welding it, and we're also going to put another step here to help get up in the trailer, and we're going to cut in some clearance marker lights, LED, right into these. So the first thing that we're going to work on is we're going to cut these diamond plate treads that we're going to put in place here. It's going to have an 1.5-inch lip on the front, and then it's going to have a nice step on top. Oh, let's make these treads, say, 8.5 inches. And here's a little sketch of what we're building. So here's the step. Here's a side view of it. We need to be 8.5 inches, and then it's going to come down with a lip that's 1.5 inches. We need to make 4 of these steps. So this is the top view. This is the fender, so we're looking down on the trailer. That's the center line of the trailer. That'd be the hitch. That'd be the tailgate. Now, we've already got these pieces already bent with that lip. They just haven't been cut yet. We did this in the episode where we built our press brake attachment, and that's this piece right here. If you want to see how we built that, I'll have a link up above. We built this using a revolutionary process where we used a router bit and a router to actually put and form the edge on the edge of this punch. I'm going to put in a short clip of when we built this press and actually started bending the pieces for this week's episode. Square it up off the press. Looks good right there. The moment of truth. This is about 14 inches that's in the press right now. We can go up to 18. Oh yeah, seems to be doing good. So that's bottomed out. Hopefully that gives us 90 degrees. We'll see. Wow! Check that out, guys. That bent it better than the factory one bent it. Look how crisp that 90 is. So now we just have to cut these to size. This is a super inexpensive way to cut metal. It just blows me away how well this works. This saw is under 120 bucks, and it comes with like 4 feet of track. So it's also a track saw. This will fit into track, so you can lay it on top of sheet goods. You can cut metal with it. You can put different blades. You can put multi-material blades on it that can cut wood and aluminum and you name it. Just pretty nice, inexpensive saw for not a lot of money. I love passing on these little money-saving tips to people whenever I can. You can see here's one of them right here that we bent. Here's another one. Then we have this one. So between this, this, and this, we should be able to get 4 out of this. And here it is. Before we go cutting the other 3, let's go try this on the trailer, make sure it's going to fit. And we also have to put another little cut in here where one of the stake pockets is going to sit, so that way any water that gets in it can drain out. I'll go out and we'll test it, and I'll show you what I mean. This is how these are going to go. This is going to work so nice. Oh yeah, that's going to be such a good fit. See that? We can weld all along there, weld along there, weld in there, but we need to cut out around this, and if we don't, it's going to make a place for water to collect, then it's going to freeze, and then it's going to rot out the trailer. So we have to scribe around that area, set it in there like that, just how it's going to go. Oh, it's going to work so nice. I could use the circular saw to cut this, but I'm just going to show you different ways of achieving the same result using different tools that you may already have. If you want to see how I built this portable bandsaw stand, I'll have a link up above. Now I'm going to mark it so I don't get it confused. So this is going to be the left rear, and I'll mark every one of them on the underside, so because they're all going to be probably a little different because of these little cutouts and whatnot. So with what I had bent up, I've got enough to build 3 of the 4. So we're going to end up having to bend one of them. So you'll get to see that bender in action in this episode. So I'm just going to cut this off a little long, and then we'll cut this end off here, then we can bend it. The way that we're going to build these is we're going to just come back 1.5 inches and draw a line. And that is where we bend it in our press brake. One of the viewers suggested like padding this out with material to prevent the diamond plate from like digging into it, which is a great idea. So I've got a piece of 1/8 inch thick, 1.5 inch angle iron. Just set it right in there, and that's a sacrificial piece, so it's not going to worry about messing up this bottom die. So now we'll feed this through our punch, and I've already tried it with this die. With this bottom die in there, it'll still allow me to bend more than 90 degrees. That'll allow for any spring back in the material. And you could do all kinds of modifications to this if you wanted. You could weld on like a material stop that's adjustable so that you can do repeatable bends. There's all kinds of things you can do to customize this to your likes. But the way we built this is definitely a revolutionary way of making these so that it's precise. So go check out that video if you're interested on how to make one. Doesn't get much better than that. Now we'll just mark it out and cut it down to 8.5 inches. I got all of them built and notched except for this one, and this one is the left front. And the reason I didn't notch it is because that brace that's actually on the fender right now is bent forward. So we're going to have to do some cutting on the trailer, bend it back, then we're going to try to reshape that fender, and then we can put the notch in it like we did for all the rest. Let's head outside and start doing all our outside work. If you take a look down in here, you can see just how misaligned that is. You see how far off from being square that is? We're going to cut right here and here and fold that back. I think the easiest way to do it is probably use a Sawzall. Cut it just about halfway through, and I'm hoping I can just hit it with a mallet, have it open up. Yep. There we go. That was the trick right there. Still got to go quite a bit. We are just about there. That looks to be it right there. Now that we got this straight, now we can hold this up here and trace around this area right here. There. I think the next thing we need to do, cut this out and then weld this piece on so it holds this all together. Then get some weld back on this. Looking at this too, I think I'm also going to clip off these corners right here, just like this, so that water can't get trapped in here. I want to make sure that it drains out. And while I'm right on this side, I got the back one all prepped too. You can see how good that is going to work. That is going to work fabulous. Normally, I would stick weld something like this. You know, weld in 1/16 to 1/8 inch would be good. But because I got to weld to this thin metal, this is like 14 or 16 gauge on the fender, that would be too much for stick welding. So I'm just going to MIG weld these on. So this will be MIG welded, and then we'll just do MIG welding on these steps. Yeah, it's going to work good. And you can see how in the back that's exposed there. So it has some drain holes for water to drain out if it collects up in there. I'm going to get this step in, then I'm going to get the back step in, focus on this side, and then we're going to start working on this fender. I'm real happy with those settings. I'm at a wire feed speed of 208 inch per minute, 16.6 volts, 120 amps. Alright, now let's weld back up the areas that we cut. Here it is, guys, and when I went here I wrapped around this corner just to prevent any cracking. Did about a 2-inch weld there, same thing here, wrapped it down into the fender. I had to turn it down here to about 82 amps just so we didn't burn through the fender. Yeah, we got real good penetration everywhere. I'm real happy with this. And you can see we've got a little drainage there. I use a needle scaler to get up into these tight areas just to knock down any mill scale, get any of these BBs off that were giving me a hard time. Another good feature about this is if something, you know, comes in contact with this, it's going to kind of push it out of the way versus like without this being here, it just kind of like stops here bluntly. So that's another nice feature. So let's work on the back one, then we can start working on getting these fenders straightened out best as possible. Alright, I got this all clean back here and all ground down best as possible. And now we'll get this one tacked on. Let me finish up this off camera because I think you probably came here to watch me straighten out all this fender material and not necessarily watch me weld. So I'll show you once I get it all welded up, this, and then we'll come back and we'll start working on this fender and get this thing shaped up. And here it is. We got the back all done. Did the same thing I did on the front to try to match it. About a 2-inch bead there, same thing there. Continuously welded it here and then lowered the amperage where the 1/8 inch plate meets the 14 gauge fender. Just got to clean it up before we paint it, get all the little BBs off it and stuff, and we will be good to go. But now it is time to get this fender straightened out and get all these nasty wrinkles out of it. I don't know how much we're going to be able to take out of it, but hopefully we can make it better than what it looks like right now. If you look down in there as well, see how it's all come apart? What's happened is that water has been trapped down in there, and the tacks that they had holding this on have actually rotted away. So we'll have to pull the wheels off and fix that up too. That won't be a big deal though. We're having 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts today, so you're probably not going to be able to hear me, but my goal is to just try to get this fender best as possible. I am not a body man. I don't claim to be. I have no clue what I'm doing right now. I've just watched a bunch of videos, and the videos that I have seen, one of them specifically said don't use heat. He used heat on his, caused him a lot of problems. It stretched the metal. So for that reason, I'm not going to be using heat. I'm doing this all cold. Got a set of cheap body tools. That's all I'm using. I think that's working pretty good, guys. It's going slow, but that's okay. Man, the wind is whipping today. I've been working on this for probably about a half an hour. I think it's a lot better than what it was. Still got a few lumps and bumps here and there. This right here is giving me some problems because I keep trying to shape it and then it overlaps one side and overlaps the other. So I've cleaned it up and I'm just gonna weld this seam up. I'll do the same thing back here just so I'm not fighting this over and over when I go to push one thing one way and one the other. And then you can see there's a brace up under here that's broken off. I'm gonna weld that down as well. Pretty happy. You can see how it's a lot straighter than it was before. Look at the back side. This is by far the worst fender of all of them, but you can see it's a lot better than it was. I mean, we're getting there. I don't think it's going to be so that you don't know that I did this work, but I'm okay with it looking better than it was, but not being perfect. See these? I've got these prepped, and I got that prepped there. I'm just using my little 120 volt Hobart to do this. That was impressive. The wind is so strong right now that the wind actually blew my camera tripod down. You can see where the camera landed right there. Second time. This is coming along great. I can't really film it because it's so windy. It just keeps blowing my camera over, and I'm gonna end up having to buy a camera here if I'm not careful. So, but yeah, I've got these welded up. This is just rough. They're probably gonna crack, maybe, I assume, because I'm working them. Welded that, welded it down to the brace. You can see it actually kind of almost burned through. It's pretty hot. Then welded up this cut and this one. So I got things shaped pretty good. You can see that's shaped pretty nice down through there. If you look at it this way, shaped pretty good. Just working on getting these ratty edges straightened out and working on this radius. But for the most part, I'm real happy with how it's coming out. It's a lot better than it was. You can see it's still pretty wavy down and through here. I got it pretty decent down through here, but you can see that waviness. I just got to go work on that a little bit. That's just me laying on my back and hitting this edge with a dolly, rounding everything, shaping it. Like I said, I'd love to get it perfect, but I don't have the skills for this. I'm not a body man. This is the first time I've really ever done anything like this, so I'm just taking my time trying to make it look better. I'm sure somebody who does this for a living could probably do this pretty easily, but for me, I just want to get it looking better. Alright, so now the next day, the wind is pretty much died down to nothing. You can hear me talk today. I'm going to show you up close how I'm straightening this out, and I'm going to show you the tools that I'm using. Just using this big mallet right here to take out any of the big stuff. That's how I got the big dents out that were in this area, just by hitting it. This dolly I had from years ago. Don't know where I got it. This one I also had. And this is just a little cheap tool kit that I picked up at Harbor Freight. Comes with all these tools. I've been using this one kind of to use that round radius piece for underneath the fender. So for like under here, we're kind of like doing that radius there. So I've been using this one quite a bit because it's real heavy. This is a quality one. I probably maybe got this at Napa back in the 90s probably. This one here, it's kind of like hollowed on the back. It's a lot lighter weight. This one's like wicked heavy. So I've got a lot of these areas pretty good, like right here, but this is where it starts really getting wacky. Then it's kind of like ripply all through here, especially in through here. So this is the stuff I'm going to work on today. And the 3 hammers that come in this kit, they're all 11-ounce hammers. They're pretty light weight for, I think, doing this. It's probably good for like car body panels, but this is like 14 gauge metal, so it's pretty thick. So you got to whack it pretty good. Now where I welded up this crack, it's all lumpy in through here. So I'm going to try to use this dolly here and a combination of this dolly here to kind of like smooth this lumpiness out here. Looks like it's divoted in right here, and it's high right here, but it also has a dent there and some ripples along this edge. So I'm just kind of taking my time and chipping away at it. I'm calling that good. That is straight along the edge. Definitely not perfect, but way better than it was. See if I can put a little clip in of what this looked like when we started, just so you have an immediate comparison. These fenders are mangled. You can see that somebody has bent them, they've cut into them with some sort of saw, and it gets worse as you go down through. You can see how these are mangled. We're going to do our best to try to reshape these. I'm not a body man, but I think we can do a good job. This is so much better than it was before. You can see, remember how I said it's probably going to crack from me working it, you know, just kind of thinning it out. So once we get everything where we want, we'll have to go back through and add a little bit of weld here and there and grind any high or low spots down, smooth it up and blend it. So we'll weld up these little areas, fill these little low areas when we start doing this. So that's what we're going to work on now. You can see how this inside panel extends a ways down inside this frame. So we'll probably just cut this panel about 1/4 of an inch down into this, and then just put new tacks, then clean up all the old stuff that's there. So that'll push in like that, nice and tight. I'm gonna put a little small hole right here, just above this frame rail, and that way I've got a place where I can measure down like 1/4 of an inch to know exactly where to start making my cut to clean this up. I used to be so meticulous. I still am a meticulous person, but I've learned to deal with it a little bit better. But I used to be so meticulous as a younger person that it actually, in a lot of ways, used to affect my life. An example was I had an old truck. I actually had a 70 Chevy pickup. It was in great shape. It was my daily driver. But I just wanted to restore it a little bit. That ended up being that I completely removed the cab, the bed, stripped everything down to a bare frame, had everything sandblasted. This was my daily driver, and I just got way over my head. Everything that I did was perfect, but I didn't have the money to finish it all because I had it so far taken apart and so far stripped that I had parts set aside to be re-chromed, and you know, it wasn't the right time in my life, and those types of projects would get in the way. So the younger me would have sandblasted this trailer and replaced these fenders, and by the time I was done, I probably would have had more in the trailer than if I actually bought a brand new one. I'm going to have some time in this one, but I'll still be ahead. But yeah, it's been a struggle. Knowing where to draw the line of that will be just fine versus let's keep going and just have an endless money pit. That's why I'm kind of in a way proud of myself that I got it to this point, because for me this is livable. That's right there. That's 1/4 of an inch below the top rail of the trailer. Now I'll just make some marks along that, and that's where I'll cut it. And honestly guys, I still have times to this very day that I still kind of struggle with that. And I'm sure many of you guys can relate to what I'm saying. If your customer wants you to do a quick job by the hour, in and out, just get it by, that's kind of a wrestle with your conscience type thing, you know. The part of you that wants to go above and beyond and do it perfect is wrestling with the part that it's just good enough, you know, or it's going to just suit the job perfectly. It's a blessing and a curse, but I think as you get older, you got to learn where to kind of pick your battles. So for me, this is good enough. Instead of spending $300 on a new fender, I'm happy and content with this, because you know what? If I put a new fender on this, I've come to the realization that that fender would get destroyed within the first probably week I took it out. This fender now, because I fixed it, will never have a problem. It'll be the other fender that's in much better shape. That one will end up getting destroyed. That's how it works. Now I'm just going to connect all of these lines up. Get rid of this ratty edge down here and clean that all up and get some nice tacks in here and make this nice secure. I think the way to alleviate that in the future is to put some seam sealer along that, or really just coat it real heavily with some of that chassis saver paint that I talked about. Let it just get right down in there and do its work and adhere to that frame so it doesn't rot again. I'm going to share with you guys a tip on preventing your safety glasses from fogging up when you're wearing a respirator. There are two ways of doing it. So one, I've got my glasses on first, and then I put my respirator on. Watch how the top of the respirator fits up at the bridge of my nose.
See that?
The respirator's over my glasses, so my breath is going up underneath the nose piece or the nose bridge, and it's fogging up my glasses. You also want the top of your safety glasses open and exposed to let air up through. They're actually steaming up right now as we talk from that little bit of air. The way to avoid that is put your glasses on after your respirator. Watch. Now my glasses were sitting on top of the nose piece so that the air is filtering out through this exhaust and not up underneath fogging the inside. And that's also the correct way of wearing it, so you can make an airtight seal. If you've got a beard, that kind of negates the fit test of the respirator, but you know, for us home gamers, this is adequate. So just make sure your respirator's on first and your glasses are sitting on top. Man, that was the weirdest thing. I don't know if you heard it. I had earplugs on it, and then I heard this wicked loud noise, and there's a helicopter right there. It literally almost touched the top of this tree. I could like see the people inside of it. Maybe they're looking for me. Yeah, we'll just grind this all nice and clean down here and re-tack that edge in nice and tight, because now it's not ratty anymore. And here it is. We are done. I am happy with this. Not perfect, not even close to perfect, but it's, like I said, good enough. And I'm really happy with the outcome. Nice and straight. It's got a few dents here and there, but overall, everything looks really good. Got it all welded up under there. See how nice and tight that gap is all the way down through. That's going to work great. So if you guys are considering doing this yourself, just know that it's something you can do. It's relatively easy to do. You just got to take your time. I probably got maybe 4 hours working on that. I could have probably got it perfect if I wanted to spend the rest of the day, but you know, the reward for spending that extra time really isn't worth it as far as I'm concerned. I hope you're enjoying this series. If you want to know more about it, I'll have a link up above and you can check out that playlist. Be sure to tune in next week where we're going to be buttoning up all the wiring and taking care of that so that we never have any problems for years to come down the road. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please give a like, comment, and subscribe. New videos every Friday. Until next week, I will see you then. Take care, stay safe, and God bless.